Hi. I'm glad that you said that you're a Marine Corps veteran because I wanted to bring this point up. How many times a year do you have to go as a Marine to requalify and prove that you are competent and proficient in the weapons that you have been issued? I'll answer that for you as a former rifle pistol coach in the Marine Corps. You have to go annually. And how long does that take? 2 weeks, right? You have a week of grass week and then a week of live fire. Isn't that right? So in the Marine Corps, you have to go for 2 weeks out of your life and prove to the Marine Corps that you are still proficient in the weapons that have been issued to you. Now let's take it a step further. Let's say you're a private through a sergeant that's living in the barracks in the Marine Corps. Are you allowed to store a firearm in your barracks room? The answer is no, you are not. If you privately own a weapon, you have to go and register that weapon with the Provost Marshal's office, and then they issue a receipt to you saying where your weapon will be stored and kept safe for you. Why is it that the United States Marine Corps, the finest fighting force on the planet, is more restrictive in who and where firearms can be stored and possessed than the average 18-year-old in the state of Texas?
So this clip recently surfaced on Reddit of a former Marine rifle and pistol coach who basically goes on a rant about why the status quo right now as it pertains to guns is completely untenable and flies in the face of all the lip service we hear about wanting to keep citizens and people safe. I love this video because a couple of things. One, this guy is a Marine, right? Or he's a veteran. And these are the people who we pretend, especially the powers that be, they pretend to hold these people in such high reverence and, esteem, right? Like, veterans are like unassailable people in our society. And, oftentimes they're used in very cynical ways. See the Kaepernick situation where it's like, oh, this guy kneeled during the national anthem. What about the veterans? He disrespected the veterans. So I love that it's a person from a venerated class and group of people that's speaking to the issue. That's the first thing.
Let's look at the Second Amendment for a second, all right? The Second Amendment says a well-regulated militia. If you believe that the Second Amendment applies to all citizens and all citizens are supposed to be that militia, what do you think well-regulated means? It doesn't mean no regulations. Jesus Christ, why is this so hard to understand? Doing nothing makes it easier for children to get slaughtered in their schools.
Another thing that I like is that this dude is very clear about what a solution could possibly look like. And he does a great job illustrating the importance of it, right? And again, the Marines are instructive because these guys perform a function. And as this gentleman points out, every single year for 2 weeks, you have to go prove that you are proficient at using your weapon. Like, these are Marines. And again, it makes sense because these guys perform a job that involves using these weapons. And so it's of the utmost importance of the Marines have shown you. The powers that be over there, they're like, this is an important job function. And so you need to prove to us for 2 weeks every year that you know what you're doing with these very deadly weapons, because they have the ultimate consequences when people misuse them. And like, we don't want that. Like, it's obvious. And to me, what this gentleman is pointing out is that in order to make things better, these firearms and weapons owners need to be more heavily regulated, right? I wouldn't be the first person to bring up this example, but of course you think about the example of cars. You can hurt people in a car. So in order to obtain a license, you have to demonstrate to somebody that you know how to safely move this potentially deadly vehicle. And this gentleman is just saying, like, if the consequences are life and death, we need to regulate this thing in such a way that the wrong people aren't using these for nefarious purposes. But, what's not mentioned in the video is that unlike the Marines, you're bumping against the interests of profit. And that's why you don't get regulations. These hugely profitable gun manufacturing companies, they have the weight, they have the might, they have the financial and political power to ensure that they're able to more easily move as many guns as humanly possible. And that's what we're bumping up against as a society. Another thing I think we're bumping up against is, the mental health component of this. That we basically we have no social safety net. We have no way to deal with people who are troubled by those type of things. We don't have an infrastructure in place to heal these people, help these people get right, help these people get old. And so people who become extremely deranged, there's no mechanism in place to shield citizens from what they might do, any dangerous acts that they might carry out. And so that's another part of it. And of course, what I love is you juxtapose what this veteran is saying. He's very clear, he's concise. You juxtapose that with this Fox News homie, Lawrence Jones, who is very heavy on the rhetoric about the left and demonizing this and rights. And in this video that we're about to show you, he does mention, he does mention that, people who are trained, but he glosses over the training part, which I think is key here.
The left has long made their contempt for the Second Amendment and their disgust for anyone who supports it very clear. But liberals do this every time. They talk about problems and then they demonize anyone who dares to disagree with them. The strategy has been clear for years.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And what I mean by that, it's an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before.
I'm sorry, you all let us down. We don't want a lecture on our constitutional right to defend ourselves. What the left doesn't seem to understand, it actually works. Take a look at your screen. These are just a few examples of situations where an upstanding armed citizen have saved people and property. Let me be clear. I want anyone who carries a firearm to be fully trained. That goes without saying.
Yeah, he very quickly glosses over the training part. He says, I believe in training people and all of that. Glosses over it, and the video is just, let's demonize these allegedly left-wing politicians, which is just hilarious that Joe Biden is somebody's idea of a left-wing politician. And he goes in on the rhetoric and he talks about his personal experience and, the answer to these problems is just more guns in the hands of citizens as unregulated as possible. That's the answer to the problem. It's just just spray the citizenry with more guns, don't regulate them at all, and it will fix everything because citizens are just so good at security and protection and all of this other stuff. And the guy who actually worked for the killing machine of our government explained to you that even the people who have been trained, the best fighting force in the world is regulated in such a way that annually they got to spend 2 weeks retraining. He's explaining to you that those people need it. And of course, this Fox News jabroni is telling you that it's the opposite. We need less training, less regulation, more guns. It's preposterous. It's ridiculous. But it's what you should expect from Fox News analysis.